I just want to tell people also and tell their friends, this is not the last one we are doing it. This is going to starting point, and every 3 months we'll be repeating the same thing. It will also be there with audio and video, and also we'll make it a MOOC pattern also. So in the website of the National Medical College Network, you can have access to that also. So this particular course, we have been talking of telemedicine. Why not to introduce earlier? We have already an IT application in the health that is being taught in our conventional 0102 course. Many times we have been thinking to do a 0102 course on telemedicine, but I felt that maybe there will be a lot of overlap, so not go for this thing. But the COVID has made us to realize that we need to do it courses on telemedicine, not once, but repeatedly. Now, the entire course that is being planned in 2 parts. Today, what I will be doing is I will discuss very basic parts, and many of the things you know actually. These are terminologies. I'm just introducing you to the terminology. You must be knowing many of them, you must have read it also. And there are many jargons you might have heard at recent times, especially in COVID times. Many myths are there also. So all these things, basic thing I'm going to discuss today. Hardly 15 slides only. I want a lot of kind of discussion on this. I'll leave almost half an hour. Though 20 minutes was supposed to be left for question and answer, but I'll leave minimum half an hour. I want more and more interaction on this particular aspects of basic aspect of telemedicine to introduce a terminology. Different terminology are used in interchangeable terms, making a lot of confusions. So it's a true science, and there are definite definitions also, and laid down on definite principles. Let's start. Next slide. So this particular course, as I just told you, that this is going to bring you some insights into this ICT to the health, starting from simple video interactions to a complicated network of the systems and enterprise remote connected health systems in the covering both the 2 parts of your RCs. Part of the course is also aimed at designing, keeping in mind all level of medical trainees. So you'll find many things are basic. You might find it is unnecessarily I'm repeating very simple things, but it is very important to also know that even person who has just come after MBBS, MD students, or somebody has come as a research scholar may not be knowing about this terminology. And the courses of this kind requires faculties from many diverse streams. So we have tried to rope in people who are experts in their field, not only in the medical domain, but in the ethics side or legal side, practice guideline side, also the technical side. So fortunately, you have been collaborating with many of the CDACs during a journey of more than 20 years in the IT in this institute. Where they first introduced the hospital information system and first introduced telemedicine in institute way back in 1999. So all those friends have joined together with us to make it a good program. So now I'll be introducing some of the terminologies here, but not that I'll cover everything here in today's meeting. I've split it into the 2 parts, on the basic aspect and advanced aspect, as I told you. In my part 2, I will cover some remaining parts, which you'll find it difficult to mix with the basic thing actually. So the introduced terms are telemedicine, e-health, mobile health, digital health, cyber medicine, digital surgery, virtual health, precision medicine, tele applications to all kinds of specialty, art to tele, whether telecardiology, dermatology, etc. We have new terminals coming up, clinical artificial intelligence, big data, all those things are also in the horizon. Electronic medical record, personal health record, hospital information management systems. There are various standards governing to the entire health IT scenario. HL7, Health Level 7, TICOM, POINC, SNOMED. We have also introduced the medical drone, Internet of Medical Things, wearables, medical sensors. So the right-hand columns you will find, many of them will not be covered today. That will cover in the second part, that is the advanced aspect of our telemedicine. Next please. So if you go to the telemedicine as a medical discipline student, you always look for definitions for many terminologies. Here is a situation where you tell whatever way you want to define telemedicine are correct. But what is more important to know that we have to also accept some established norms like WHO, right, or ITU. Those people are governing different definition terminologies. There are glossaries for telemedicine. There are glossaries for digital health. Those things also, if you're interested, just go to Google. You will find so many information there. You want to read more and more about these different terminology. So I'll just cover up some basic aspects. Now, I have included WHO definition as the standard definition, so it covers all aspects of telemedicine, including its usage in different segments. Otherwise, simple explanation you want to explain to a layman is to explain some health exchanges, health activities, health services, whatever you want to do it using your information and communication technology. Telephone of any kind and IT platform of any kind. Anything today is an IT component. Even your smartphone is also a IT, a mini computer in your hand. Now, to define WHO definition, you find all those things I have told you just now is highlighted in red color. So there are some common denominators that is there in whatever definition you pick up. The delivery of healthcare is the common denominator. Where distance is a critical factor, that is also a common denominator. It can be covered with any kinds of media you want to cover network. By all healthcare professionals, mind you, it is not only for doctors. It can be for a physiotherapist. It can be a nutritionist. It can be anybody who gives services in the health using information and communication technology. Another common denominator. For the exchange of valid information, even your video interaction with the patient is also valid information. Your passing concern information, your audio interaction, your data interactions, everything comes under that category that may be used for your diagnosis, treatment, prevention, or in injuries. That is trauma or any kind of injury. So it just covered everything in this 2 or 3 lines. So it's self-explanatory. I need not have to explain further. We can discuss many things after I finish my presentation. Next, please. Next. Now you will find many other terminologies. I'll pick up one by one only, so that you can understand what the basic difference. But at the same time, let me tell you, there are many terminologies they use interchangeably. Like somebody may say telemedicine, e-health, telehealth, digital health, m-health, all these things, the thing is all same. It's not same. Definition is not same. This may appear as if it is same. But since we are all people of science, we should know what are the basic differences, what is the exact definition. So let me take up the e-health. Because after telemedicine, then the next terminology came is the e-health. You take the entire history of telemedicine. The telemedicine is used to monitor the health of the astronauts. By NASA, it was introduced by Russian space institutions. It's called telemetry. They used to record their blood pressure, pulse, etc. From there, it started in the 60s. Then, of course, later on, it taken different shape. But the basic concept is that we monitor the health. Then the e-health, like digital health, captures everything at the intersection of IT and health, but more particularly suited to the hospital. So e-health is not used in the public. Like telemedicine can be used in the public. In COVID times, telemedicine left and right is used, but e-health is not used that in that connotation. Different stakeholders as players in the spectrum of digital healthcare delivery. So in e-health, there are gamut of people are involved in this in running e-health systems, whereas that is not true with the telemedicine. Can you imagine healthcare without the inclusion of actual care providers? No, they have to be there. There has to be a health giver, consultation, or service provider, and one is the service seekers, that is the patient, or a public, or a normal human being, when you're talking about wellness. So it has to be a triangle. There are beneficiaries, there is an intermediary of network, and there is a platform. Now, e-health also captures images of different IT systems inside the hospital. And you do not have to explain day in and day out. If you are running a hospital information system in a hospital, you will find this is part and parcel of daily practice of e-health in your institution. It acts really in a multiple stakeholder environment. That's the e-health. Whereas telemedicine is different. I'll also define telehealth in subsequent slides. So you understand that. So if you are running a electronic healthcare record systems, you cannot do that without e-health. You have to have electronic health record. Also, you have all the images to capture in the health record. All other information related to the health systems, they all constitute an e-health system. And also built-in clinical decision support in that health record. We'll talk about that, how that is possible. Next, please. The another terminology which has become very popular during COVID times, a little before that actually, right? So you'll find it is a broad umbrella. Earlier, we used to tell that telemedicine and telehealth, difference is telehealth is bigger kind of connotation, and telemedicine is a part of this thing. Now, everybody has become a part of the digital health. It is a big umbrella under which there are many things are coming up, including the recent terminology like precision medicine, big data, artificial intelligence. They all come on digital health. So you can imagine that how big is the kind of umbrella this digital health terminology. So this is the grandest term available to define anything that has to do with information technology and healthcare. And let me add one more thing to this. Besides the information technology and also communication technology, there is another technology called digital technology. There is another technology which work in a molecular level. Those things also come into these things. So when you are talking of genetic analysis, a lot of genetic information, they are coming from digital technological platforms, molecular technologies, cellular technologies. They all come under the digital health. So when you talk of the precision medicine supporting cancer care, then we'll find the technologies are different than what you talk of ICT. They're beyond ICT. Next, please. Now, another terminology you might have again come across called virtual care, digital medicine, digital surgery. See, anything nowadays become fancy for people to add digital. Everything that makes digital means is really very modern things. Like today, we call digital sound. Everything is digital. Digital nutrition, whatever you would think of nowadays, everything is digital. To buy a television, oh, is it a digital TV? Now, digital TV has become old now. Now you're talking of 4K TV, 8K TV. So that is the way technology is being misused by the promoters or marketing people. But at the same time, let us realize there is something called digital technology. That is part and parcel of our everyday life, everyday system that we are being exposed to in our environment, right? Today, we're talking of the modeling of the environment, modeling of the entire COVID situation. It's all digital technologies, not only information or communication technology. So all these things constitute a virtual world where digital technologies are playing a role everywhere. Now, let me define how you know about that. I put a little bit more sentences to make you understand rather than defining it in the proper lines. Now, virtual care refers to the remote provision of healthcare across the entire patient journey. Today, we are talking about connected health. See, another terminology coming up. I'll present that in the subsequent slides. And in the connected health, we are connecting a patient from the home or from a workplace to the hospital. Even after discharge, they are still following up. There are some patients, you follow them up for the lifelong till they go to the grave, like chronic diseases, cancer care, all those things. So virtual care denotes that spectrum of healthcare segment where you go beyond the hospital, four walls, beyond the OPD visits. It's a patient journey wherever they are. You might have come across with some terminology called patient portal. You might have come something like that. It is a HIPAA compliant patient portal, just like your HON, certified medical portals. So nowadays, this is very common nowadays coming up, not in our country, but in overseas. Now the focus is shifted from the hospital boundary to the people's reach. Now I'm talking of people's reach. I'm not defining home care. You might have heard many things like telehome care, home as a telehealth hub, all the things you might have heard recently. Even you can design an ICU inside the hospital, inside the home, and connect all the systems to a Mayo Clinic or somewhere. This is running. This is in America. This is happening. There are companies that are providing the solutions. You can make a full-fledged high technology ICU in a home. Somebody can afford it. There are companies who are taking care of the sick patients, which requires really 24/7 care at home. It amounts to less expensive rather than putting somebody in the hospital. This is the trend that is happening in telehealth trends in the global scenario. And same thing may come up in India also. After all, in COVID time, what we are doing? We are doing same only. From the home only, we are getting our all remote consultation and remote monitoring. So that is just a mini example. Think about it in a global example, how it will become, or massive example, how it becomes. You're going to cut down the cost of the hospital, going to cut down the manpower, going to cut down the expenses, everything, especially when people are paying money from their pocket. Now, communication must from healthcare practitioners to the patient. See, it is not a new thing that has happened. Even when there was ordinary desktop telephone, the ordinary dialing telephone, we call PSTN, public switch telephone network. Maybe your grandfather had that. You dial these phones. You have a fax machine where you fax your reports. So from those days, it is still coming now also. We have to use a telephone medium, whatever it is. Now it is become sophisticated. You've got a handheld hand phone. When a hand phone was discovered, every pulse was costing, I remember, around 32 to 40 rupees, just every pulse in seconds. But people who are doing private practice those days, they used to carry this thing. It's quite a heavy mobile phones. So it is required. It's required for business. It's required for your convenience. That's the thing that is happening today in ML. So communication is the main backbone that has to be there in any kinds of virtual exchanges. Telemedicine, telehealth, digital health, whatever you talk about that. And the word virtual doesn't always mean long distance care. That is another thing I want people to understand. But virtual care doesn't mean that everything is remote. Today, you think yourself, many things you just see in your record, in a WhatsApp message or in the computer or in the HI system, and you take a decision, isn't it? Whether it's a nurse, whether it's a doctor, resident, or consultant, day in and day out, I'm sure you must be getting a lot of information in the WhatsApp. During COVID times, there's to hundreds every day. All these tele-OPDs during the complete lockdown, we are working on only the records that come in their system, whether it's a tablet, mobile phone, or computers. So it's not that all the time you have to physical, all the time you talk to the patient. Even a lot of information you see in the computer. That's the reason why a terminology come later on. Now today, there's a term called digital twins. You know what is digital twin? The new terminology that has come up nowadays. Like big data, artificial intelligence, precision medicine, like the digital twins. Now, what is twin? It is the interface. It is the combination of a human being or a patient or a person with the system. So it is you are looking after the medical record of your particular patient, your patient, confidentially maintained secrecy, and you are reflecting the patient in the real terms. You have seen this patient earlier, and he is a chronic cardiac patient, chronic lung patient, but it's data. You are working on data only. So it is called twin. So we are correlating the physical with a digital environment. That's the reason called digital twins. Very, very commonly uttered nowadays word with emerging terminologies in the IT industry for health. And today, the entire data, you might have heard about data visualization. You talk of visualization means always it is a video visualization. No, it's not that we are talking to each other, we're looking at each other's pictures or video. There's something called data visualization. This is very common in the non-medical environment. The entire business world, they work on data only. Today, you might have heard about the Bitcoin, all cryptocurrencies, everything. What is happening? Nobody knows who is the owner of the money, but everything is in the servers, network. So the data visualization, multiple parties are visualizing the data. Here, it is also like your patient records, you are visualizing, keeping the patient in the mind. So that's called digital twin. It's a new terminology. You want to read more about it? Go to the Google, you'll find many, many pages of digital twins papers. So practically you're interacting with the patient. You might have heard about patient portal. Now, it is all certified by the FDA. This is HIPAA compliant patient portal. Nobody can see this patient. Today in India, we are getting the similar kind of thing. It could not be approved by the cabinet in the last parliament session. We also are coming up with a digital law for our own country, medical data. We also have a national digital health mission. You might have heard about it. Last year, Honorable Prime Minister inaugurated that National Digital Health Authority. You might have heard reports recently that it was rejuvenated with a commission called Digital Health Cards. So all these things are in that connotation getting introduced in India. So the health data is very secure. It is going to be only exchanged between the care providers and the care seekers, right? You can confidently put all your data into this cloud. It is not possible to put in any HIS data center. The data are voluminous. It's in petabyte, not even terabyte, hexabyte, like that kind of data. X-rays, CT scan, PET scan, every day you get a lot of image-specific information. So this is the world that we are going to enter, especially your generation. It's going to see digital twins getting used more and more in the real terms. Now, digital version of the patient record is made with as many data points. Remember, when the patient travels from one particular OPD to another particular OPD, one particular lab to another particular lab, one particular imaging station, another imaging station. Every point, some data is getting generated. So multiple data points. And all the data points are coming to your, if you have HIMS, we have a patient specific portal in that. So all the information there, they're all together. Clinical symptoms, all records of laboratory, all the images, everything is there. Plus, if you are doing a virtual interaction with teleconsultation, even that data is also there, including the video that has been interacted, that is archived. That is also data, medical record. That also has to be archived in the same system. So that is the virtual care in the virtual world that we are going to witness in the coming generation. Next, please. Now, the terminology of connected health, I've just discussed about that a couple of minutes ago. Now, if you imagine whatever I have told you, so you are connecting the patient's incidents, events, multiple point of time, multiple locations, right? Like today I'm in Lucknow, tomorrow I may go to somewhere else. I may one hospital, another hospital. That is the basic purpose of your National Digital Health Mission, NDHM. It's controlled by the National Digital Health Authority. So that's the reason they want to do it. Patient need not carry anything. Today you might have had patient repeats his X-ray, CT scan, PET scan many number of times. It has become a kind of also business interest. But here, once I get everything, it is loaded in the system. She did not have to go with the records. You go to any place, patient has the password for his or her own record. The doctor can get that password for patient with consent and access the entire record. So it is going to be a connected health world. It is existing overseas in good health systems, developed countries. Talk of Europe, European Union. They already have data security everything approved by their parliaments. They are launching it. And in the US and Europe, where the insurance coverage, 100% they want this kind of connected health records between different hospitals. So this is what is happening is the connected health. The name denotes the sum of many parts, as I told you. Coordination of the knowledge between the multiple stakeholders to provide healthcare. Main stakeholders are the patients, physicians, nurses, specialists, executives, payers, government, and academia. Like virtual care, the focus is also care-centric, but applies specifically to connectivity aspects of the health, where two parties have to collaborate, coordinate, and cooperate to achieve better outcomes. It's also important to have evidence, so that at least this academia which is producing evidence, it helps to the kind of for the people who are making policies. You might have heard about current COVID times, how much of confusion going on, the number of deaths and all those things. So I do not have to go to political issues, but that is very important to know how it is important. Even you can connect your graveyard to your patient when he is alive and to get a proper record. Now we are revising our COVID deaths. See, so you can imagine what is connected health. Even your graveyard is also a component of your connected health. Next please. So now this is another common terminology. This is not very new terminology, very old terminology. It came along with the telemedicine. Now telemedicine and telehealth, the difference, basic difference is telemedicine focused only on patient interaction, but telehealth covers many more aspects. Now, of course, the common denominator again, the remote care and telecommunication. That is there here also. And currently the practice models in telehealth are video and virtual visits. That is very frequently we carried out during complete lockdown. Just video telemedicine they call it, video visits. Whether you do a WhatsApp video, which is most commonly used, or you use any software-based video conferencing systems also. That's for video visits. The other thing is store and forward. It's just like, you take a snapshot, you send it across. That is also again in COVID times become very popular. Why did COVID has start? Not only us, to the common man, the common even child, which is going to be next generation patient for us. God forbid, he or she child also knows what is telemedicine. Nobody has taught them. Like nobody has taught people to how to play with the mobile phone. A small young baby who is delivered, maybe I don't know what age they can really handle. The best thing to keep the child engaged is give them a mobile phone or give them some games into any handheld device. So they are engaged. So they understand about what it is. So now telehealth in that connotation, let me tell you, has covered a lot of things during COVID times, and it's going to stay. People have got the taste of the blood. They're not going to leave it. You might have realized yourself, post-COVID, you're flooded with calls coming in your phone. You cannot deny anybody. Hospital has to develop a system like that. So besides the video and virtual visits, we also have store and forward. I just explained what is store and forward. And another thing that is coming up nowadays is called RPM. What is RPM? It is remote patient monitoring. Very easy to understand. Just close your eyes for a second, you realize. Day in and day out, we are doing it. Are you not talking to your patient or relatives? How is the patient? Starting from the simple interaction, now you translate that into the monitoring 24/7 patient data using tele-IC or tele whatever you want to do it. You have a pacemaker, it is getting controlled by somebody there. You have a chronic disease, you're getting your all data monitored by somebody else. Diabetes, there is a service provider maintaining and your A1C level as well as blood sugar. So all these things are happening today, even in India also. Now, besides this thing, you have got many non-clinical services also covered in telehealth, governance structures. Many other things also happen through this. There are many wearable devices. You might have heard about this. What are the wearable devices? Different names are given there. IoTs, IOMTs, right? They can track your vital signs. They can track your sleep pattern. They can track your how many footsteps you are taking. They all be inbuilt to your telephones. Those things are also integrated to the connectivity. Best example is your mobile, is a handphone, right? So now the handphone has also become a remotely monitoring devices. Like somebody can trace you also by tracking your number in the mobile phone, so that GPS or whatever it is. There are many tracking systems. They also can track your health wherever you are, right? Now it puts the three terminologies: telemedicine, remote care, and mobile health. I hope you understood. I'll get some lot of examples on that. Next please. Now again, I'm coming back to telemedicine. I gave you the definition of WHO, which is very extensive. Now let me simplify the telemedicine. Sorry. Now telemedicine strictly refers to virtual visits and store and forward technology. Examples are plenty in front of you. You have been practicing that. More so during COVID times, even after COVID times also. It addresses the diagnosis and treatment of a patient's continuum of care. Keep on, if you have just found a patient of COVID and giving again example of COVID, very easy to explain to you. You follow that with repeated test of RT-PCR, what drops he is taking. I like it. It's continuum of care. Simple example. Same thing can be extrapolated to many other situations also, especially chronic disease patients. And its application is solely clinical. Let me re-emphasize that. Telemedicine application is solely clinical. Anything beyond that, it goes to telehealth. You take e-governance using video conferencing, it's definitely telehealth, not telemedicine. So there is a little difference between that. So let's, as a scientist background, science background, let's understand what are the basic differences there. You can use it, you can explain to people whatever you want, but in a micro level or a granular level, you must understand what is the basic difference with all these terminologies. Now, telemedicine is a useful tool for developing personalized rapport between caregivers and patients. Citizens to avail all kinds of services at any kind of location. That is the flexibility that has come with mobile communications. Now, today, you can also remotely, the same telemetry what is introduced in the 60s, today we are doing so closely monitoring your international space station. You are monitoring their health. Not only that, you are maneuvering your ultrasound with a robotic arm, controlling the robot from here. It's possible nowadays. Now the 5G is coming, already being launched in many parts of the world. 6G is already in trial. So just imagine that kind of powerful bandwidth you are going to have. So we can do many wonders in the telemedicine also. To get the rapport, your video quality is very good. No breakage anywhere. But let's see how fast it is coming to the common life, which may be introduced in the big cities, may not goes to the remote areas. What is coming up in remote areas is nowadays, I'll just introduce one term called LEO. That is, of course, part of the advanced telemedicine, but let me talk about LEO little bit. LEO is low Earth orbit. Satellite communication for telemedicine in our country is not so popular because we have many terrestrial communications are very good, especially wireless communications. Now the LEO is going to take up. You might have heard in the newspapers about the LEO coming in with the Elon Musk coming up with the SpaceX and all those things, Starlink. Bharti Airtel is coming up. So they are coming up with satellite-based internet. So you'll find the same thing that you are using in a mobile phone. The current generation of the iPhone, you might have noticed their technical features. It has option of connecting to Leo, right? Of course, Leo service is not available, but they have the option. It's just like 5G compatible mobile phone. When 5G comes, your phone will be activated. So like we have got Leo compatible Apple phone version 13 is already in the market. Next. Now, remote patient monitoring is going to be the future. Why? Because you see, today we have tested everything is possible through a mobile platform or with the cheap technology available with us, that is the 4G or even 4G also. So you can transmit the minimum basic sensors, pulse, blood pressure. There are kiosks nowadays. If you come to telemedicine here, you see there are kiosks. It measures so many parameters: height, weight, pulse, blood pressure, respiratory rate, parametry, so on and so forth. You can transmit that. So this is going to be very helpful, especially rural areas where they don't have facilities for the healthcare. Or you have chronic disease, which is almost 60% of disease load. So you can take care of using this kiosk or many other wearable devices available cheap cost to make a remote patient monitoring network so that you can avoid the crowd and coming to the hospital. You just imagine all of your experience that during COVID times, you are all treating patients. Not that they are not getting services. And how easily you could do it, even using your standard desktop telephone, who supplemented by some of the information through WhatsApp messages. This is all possible, this is doable, and this is proven beyond doubt. Now, it has a distinct identity from other two health modules, that is virtual visits and store and forget. So if you see the RPM is still different from virtual visits. These are all incidental, sporadic. And store and forget sporadic. But remote patient monitoring is a continuous one. You are making a group of patients to monitor their diabetic status, their renal failure status, cancer patients, especially NCD. Then other thing is the ICU care. That is also another way of remote patient monitoring. Next page. So these are the terminologies coming as far as the interactions are concerned with multiple network coming. You might have heard this term called mHealth, M-learning, like you got mobile music. All these things are all possible. Nothing but whatever health exchange you are doing to using your mobile devices. Not a mobile device only, telephone. It can be any mobile platform. It can be portable, your tablets. It can be any other platforms which has a potential to connect through internet. So internet is the driver. Internet is going to be the driver, forceful driver in the coming generation to drive telehealth forward. Because 20 years ago when I started telemedicine, so much difficult to even set up a system. Today also I go to my office, you'll find there is a telephone box lying in my office those days. In 1999, I put a telephone box connected to the hospital exchange. From those days, I remember today, it's so easy. We can practice telemedicine solo without any devices also. So mHealth refers to the use of cellular device to deliver healthcare. Mobile apps and mobile technology are a big part of it. There are hundreds and thousands of apps, you know very well. Disease-specific apps, symptom-specific apps, what not. You get confused completely. And application is not restricted to clinical use only. The wearables and personal wellness apps are also captured by this term. If I become obese, I get hundreds of consultations. For everything, you have somebody to give some service, some advice. Only thing you have to filter out which is correct, which is wrong, right? Now, simply as long as the mobile device is involved, it can be mHealth. Just simple cheese, you can explain to everybody what is mHealth if you are using with mobile devices, whether it is a tablet, whether it's mobile phone, whatever it is. Now, with the rapid explosion of wellness devices, based on the sensors fitted in the consumer items like wristwatch and cloud-based technology, the usage of mHealth is expanding in a big way, inviting several privacy and confidentiality. There are many such issues. I'm not touching upon those things. Very complicated. We're going to discuss that in the part 2 actually, right? So I think with that, I have last slide. I think this one. Next. Yeah. And this is our School of Telemedicine, what Dr. Amita was talking about. And anytime you are coming here, people who are outside HCPJ, even within HCPJ also, I don't think you have traveled to this place. Do visit this place sometimes. Enjoy the garden in front of our building.